All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MellaFellas podcast. On today's episode, I've got my boys with me, Mr. Danny and Hudson over there, and yours truly, Mr. Indigool himself, Shan. That's me. Don't wear it out. That's my name. How are you boys doing, Danny? How we doing?
Oh, doing great, man. Hanging out with you, MellaFellas. So it's already a good start to the day. Got some snacks. Got my Red Bull. Not sponsored. Sponsor us, Red Bull. And I'm big chilling, man.
You know what? I'll take the Red Bull sponsor too. Or Monster or Rockstar or literally anybody who could give me caffeine for free for life. Not coffee though. I'm not a big coffee drinker. Fun fact. Hudson, how are you doing? How you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right. I'm living.
Anything exciting going on in your boys' lives? Anything you'd like to talk about? Spit out there before we get started.
Resident Evil.
Oh, Resident
That's
Evil,
gonna be
brother.
another.
I'm already
That's
on
a.
like my
You go ahead. I'm sorry. I
I'm
got
on my
excited.
third playthrough. I'm on no. You're good. You're good. I'm on my third playthrough, brother. I am so excited. I am achievement hunting on this playthrough. I am so excited. I've only got like 10 achievements left to knock out.
Nice, dude. You sound like you're killing it.
This is like my top three favorite Resident Evils. I think it's like Resident Evil 4, 2, and this one.
Yeah. You see, I would continue, but I don't want to get off topic. Actually, I would
Well,
love
I also
to.
don't want to spoil because Hudson hasn't played it yet.
Because our
So I don't
boy
want to spoil
Hudson,
it
exactly. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. That's exciting for me.
But yeah,
That's what I'm
it's
going on.
bro. It's such a good game. But yeah, no, that's definitely been dominating my life. That and work, for sure. All right. With that being said, Hudson, did you have anything you wanted to spit out there?
Nah, I don't really think so. I haven't really been doing a whole lot of gaming recently.
That's fair. That's fair. Sometimes we get in those things where we gotta take a little bit of a break. I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. On today's episode, boys, with a topic brought to you by Hudson himself, the myth, the man, the legend, he gave us a goated episode to tackle. Today's episode, we've got the best lore or our favorite lore, one that holds a nice soft spot in our hearts from video games, or we'll even open it up to other forms of media or universes. Because I know not every single great expanded universe is just video games. Does anybody have a particular one that they would like to start with, or would you boys like me to go ahead? Because I do have one off the top of my head. I didn't think about it too hard beforehand, but I do have one. If you boys don't have one right off rip,
I'll let you
I
go
don't
ahead
think
and
I
start
have
us
one
off.
top of my head.
all right. Hudson. I'm sorry. Did you have one?
I said I do not think I have one off the top of my
Okay.
head. I do
Okay.
have some ideas, but not one that I particularly wanted to
Sure.
pick.
Um, I've got one. So, for those of you that don't know, I used to be a huge Destiny player. Mostly Destiny 1, but I did play a lot of Destiny 2. um, so a lot of my hours in my teenage years went to Destiny for sure. I think, especially in Destiny 1, when we had less details, Destiny 1 had some of the greatest lore, in my personal opinion. I would spend hours of shout out to Bife and Mylan Games for all the lore that they have dished out in their videos. They did huge deep dives, especially when the lore in Destiny wasn't even in the game. It was in the stupid Grimoire thing on the Bungie website. They spent a lot of time, and I spent a lot of time watching their videos. Destiny had some of the coolest lore. I used to always be obsessed with the Hive and the Vex specifically. Like the Hive being a warrior bug race from a random gas giant millions of light years away that lived to only be 10 years old and then found these dark gods um, and became this warrior race that literally lives by this sword logic where you kill each other and you grow stronger. It's fucking wild. And not to mention like just the mysterious nature of it all and the hierarchy. It feels very Halo inspired, which makes sense with Bungie being the developers. And then like the Vex, I always loved the Vex too because the Vex was like just a very strange robot race. Like it's a hive mind too, which is kind of neat. But it's like in the first game with the Stranger, they talk about how the Vex was really the ones that like destroyed that universe. Um, I think Destiny's got some of the coolest freaking lore, well, not just between the Vex and the Hive, but like also like Dark Guardians and just like the Traveler idea in general, where like travels from civilization to civilization, finding like races to make its or to bless with its light. And there's uh oh, what was it? Like the story. I don't know if you boys have ever heard this, but the original story of Destiny One got scrapped like very close to launch of Destiny 1, and that's why the story of Destiny 1 was so broken. But in that original script, the Traveler and the Speaker turned out to be bad guys
Hmm.
Oh,
um, that were using like those races and for their own survival and their own gain, basically using like the human race and all the other races as meat shields to hide from the darkness and whatnot. Uh, I thought that story sounded so freaking cool, and it's a shame because I think the head writer got fired, and that's why they scrapped it. But I don't know if you boys ever have time. I would highly recommend digging into that lore, that original story, for sure. I think Destiny's got one of the most expansive lores out there, mostly because it's been running for 12 years now. But the
Yeah.
problem is for the lore, at least Destiny 2's gotten better. Destiny 2's gotten better recently, but like originally, especially in Destiny 1, you had to go digging for the lore, and I love that. I love that, and I've got a that brings me to another universe. I'm not gonna say it yet, but there's another universe out there that I highly enjoy the lore of, where you have to go digging for the answers, and I really, for some reason, I really like that because I feel like an actual scholar.
Yeah, man. So so my personal experience with Destiny and everything is I played Destiny 1, played Destiny 2, and I usually played it with the boys, with the homies. But it wasn't really until Destiny 2 where I tried. Keyword is tried to dig into the lore, but
Right.
it's
Right.
interesting because Destiny isn't that old. I think what
No.
2014 is when it came out.
2014 is when Destiny 1 came out, so it's I think it turns 12 this year.
Okay. So it's a game it's a universe with like 12 years of lore, and like when you compare that to some of the other ones, it's like not as much time, but they still have a ton of lore. It is rich, it has depth,
Oh, dude, it's
and
insane.
at the time I was not into digging into the lore of things as much as that. But I feel like if I were to dig into it now, I would have a much bigger appreciation considering some of the other choices I
Right.
have here soon. But it's definitely some interesting stuff. The Vex are very interesting. I know they've had a handful of really cool storylines with them, along with the
Mhm.
Hive, and then like you said, Dark Gods and everything. It's just very rich with history and everything of that nature. And you gotta love and
It
appreciate when they have that.
it almost has like an eldritch kind of feel to it, but not exactly in the same way as like traditional like Lovecraft kind of stuff. But if you really look at it with like these two they use the term paracausal forces with like the light and the darkness, um like the Traveler and the Witness are not actually those forces. They're just like the main representations of them. So like the Traveler's not actually the light, and the Witness isn't actually the darkness, but like they're, like I said, the main representations. So um, there's an even more obscure kind of nature to them, with those forces and like their motives. And like the only real like lore we got before the most recent expansion was like the Speaker, when the Speaker was around, because he literally spoke for the Traveler. But it's like we barely got any lore on the Traveler. It was a very mysterious entity that just like showed up, doesn't say anything, blesses humanity with like double lifespans and like a golden age, and then just kind of goes silent after the darkness attacks. Um, so I really enjoy that nature of it. It's the same reason why a lot of horror is as scary as it is because they don't lay all their cards out right in front of them. They
Mm-hmm.
they tend to be a little bit more mysterious and more vague with it, and then it will go. They don't literally spell it out for you like the Traveler is the light, or the Traveler is the good guy, or the Traveler is this, or the darkness is this. I mean, hell, we didn't get an actual face for the Traveler, or sorry, the darkness until very recently. Um, It was just the darkness and the forbidden Dorito shaped ships.
Yeah.
So the darkness had always been so vague, dude. It's like because like everybody, the understanding was like the darkness was always this super mysterious force that had representations in like the Hive and the Vex, um, and the Taken. Right? Technically, the Fallen aren't darkness. The Fallen are actually a pun not intended, fallen civilization of the Traveler. They were blessed by the Traveler at one point, and they were chasing the Traveler because their collapse was called the Whirlwind and whatnot. Like I said, more lore. Um, but having those representations of the darkness and not actually knowing what the darkness is was always super cool. And this mysterious force that literally wiped out all of civilization down to this one last city. Eh, I just love the mysterious nature of it all and the way that it doesn't tell you everything. You got to go digging. I mean, every gun has a story. Every armor piece has a story. Every character feels like they have a story. There's so much freaking lore. The problem is, I think Destiny just doesn't do a good job of presenting it, especially in missions. They've gotten better recently with like the seasons, how like each season focuses on one aspect. Like they did more digging into Oryx and where he went after the Taken King, which was one of my favorite seasons recently. Not that I play the game very much anymore, but I just love the fact that they're now honing in on specific characters and lore and adding more to it and getting better at telling the lore and explaining the lore versus you having to go digging for it. Because while I don't mind that, I think the lore is so rich that it's literally a perfect template for them to tell really good stories, and they weren't utilizing it up until like the last few years.
I'm gonna say I feel like that's valid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say because of the
They do, yeah.
You go
They
ahead,
just don't
Hudson.
have a good way of, showing it, of
Mm-hmm.
displaying it.
Mm-hmm.
Say the seasons.
They're
I
getting
think they
better at
took.
it recently.
Yeah, I would say they've definitely taken some steps in the right direction with the seasons. I think the last season I played was like the season of Plunder, where it was like space
Mm-hmm.
pirates,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
fine. I didn't think it
That
was
one was
bad.
very fun.
Gameplay was
It was
fun.
fun. It's just awful. Like if you're talking about like the lore
The lore,
perspective,
yeah, 100.
that
percent
I do like how the Fallen also have those houses, and each like faction has sub factions inside of them. Like the Fallen is the most guilty of this. Like how they have the House of Wolves and the House of Devils and the House of Splicers and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like that, and each one has its own story. Like the House of Splicers from the first game discovered Siva and then like started experimenting with themselves and making them superior life forms, if that's the term you want to use. And that's what Rise of Iron was about. Uh, the Hive have something similar too, with like each of the Hive gods, so like Oryx, Savathun, and Zivo Roth. Each of them have their own factions, and like they have tags after them, like the Blood of Oryx and whatnot. So each one has a story. It's just really unfortunate, especially in Destiny One, that a lot of people don't have the attention spans, or I don't know if attention spans is the right word, but don't necessarily have the desire to go digging for all this lore and reading every single gun and every single thing, especially in a high-paced action game. A lot of people don't have that, and I think that's really telling too for me because I've been a warlock main since day one, and
Mm-hmm.
warlocks are known for the digging and the librarian and the historian stuff, and I've spent a lot of time and digging through the lore. And a lot of my buddies that I played with, they're like, "You were probably the most warlock personality I've ever met," and I'm like, "Thanks."
You're like, thanks,
Huh.
guys.
Thanks. You'll never believe this, but
I was a warlock and then I swapped over to Titan, but nowadays I think I would be like a rogue or whoever the hunter. Hunter,
Oh,
that's
the
what it
hunter.
is. Yeah.
I think hunters always had some of the coolest drip.
They do. I had a buddy who was always a hunter, but he was definitely a hunter personality.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, no, I think while Destiny suffers from a lack of ability to tell stories, maybe not so much anymore. Sometimes their stories are very hit or miss. Like the Witch Queen was really good, but then like was it Lightfall, where you go to like Neptune, was fucking awful. And I get it. An MMO looter shooter kind of style. They like basically pioneered this genre of like the MMO style looter shooter. So it's kind of like there isn't a blueprint for them to lay out, but they've gotten a lot better at implementing the lore into the story and like presenting it in a way that people can find that lore. So props to them. But I think I've spent probably enough time on Destiny. I could probably go on for a while though.
That's fair. Well, I would say we can always circle back around to it, like for like a round two or like a deeper dive. But honestly, at this point, I'm curious about Hudson's choice for because this was like this is a topic he presented. I'm curious, Hudson.
Well,
What's one you
I
got?
have one choice. I have one choice that I know is like the big like knockout hit of the park, but I want to save that one for a little bit.
Okay.
So this one's kind of an outlier that I kind of thought of while Shan was talking, but this one's kind of weird. But Dead by Daylight has some really interesting, weird ways of telling their lore.
That's
Oh
valid.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have some
yeah.
really interesting ways of telling it, and they have some just interesting lore in general, like the way the
Mhm.
entity and how mysterious it is. The way that it like the way that the entity ties into the stories of like the collabs and shit. Like Michael Myers being rumored to be the reason that he disappeared at the end of Halloween 1 is because he's taken by the entity. When I found that out, it was so cool. Like the way that it ties itself into these stories, and
Oh, it's so
some of them
good.
aren't as creative as others. Like some of them are lazy. Like Kaneki's kind of. I mean, Kaneki was fine, but he was kind of lazy. They just kind of. He just got done torturing. He beat up Jason and he walked out the room and got kidnapped. There was also a theory of Michael chasing Lori into the was it the fog, and I don't really like that one that much. I personally prefer that the entity took him at the end of Halloween 1. That's my personal belief, even if the fog one makes more sense,
Yeah, it's just
because I think that the ending of Halloween 1's cooler.
I agree. And plus, it just like it's just sometimes your head canon just feels better, and that's one of the ones where I would agree. I feel like him disappearing right then and there is just so much cooler than oh he walked into the fog. 'Cause that's the same one they did with Chucky. Well, shit, dude. Even some of their original killers have some pretty cool ones. Like what's the unknown,
Like
dude? The unknown. Fuck that.
I know the Trapper has a pretty cool lore with like how he fights back against the how he's like one of the only ones that'll fight back against the entity. And I know that like they showed that through mobile game cinematics, like trailers in the game, and they also like show lore through every cinematic. So every trailer, even if it's for like a completely different character, kind of matters sometimes. And even the way that like other characters tie in, they explain skins really well, and like how
Mm-hmm.
they tie into other characters is pretty cool. How like also obviously all the blighted skins,
Yeah, and then like each
like
season they also have more lore they add too.
yeah. And also they have unique interactions for some of their characters. Like it's kind of cool how Albert Wesker is the only character that like willingly took in the blight serum because that's such an Albert Wesker thing to do.
Oh,
He would
100%.
obviously take that and he'd be like fuck it. He'd be like
Yeah,
fuck it. This thing's just gonna make me better.
yeah, no, he's definitely a roid
Like
head,
what
that Albert Wesker.
like the way that DBD explains their lore is pretty cool. Just in general, like how they tie it with their characters, how they connect their characters. I don't think that anything really outside the entity's that cool. But the entity makes up most of the game, so
It does. And then they have was it the casting of Frank Stone, I think is the spin-off game where it's like an Until Dawn
yeah.
play
I
style, but it has the entity
yeah,
involved.
I didn't really look too far into it, honestly.
You see, I think it was on Game Pass and I was able to play through it once. And it was solid. Like it wasn't like it wasn't anything I thought like, oh, this could have been better. It was like, oh, this ties into Dead by Daylight. I like that. And that kind of made it kind of added to the charm of it. Just because the entity and the lore behind it is so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the entity is. I honestly like that factor of unknownness about the entity. Like we don't know if the entity is
He's
a
Epstein.
human. Yeah, we don't know. He could be Epstein. He
He's
could be
just
anything.
kidnapping people.
He could be anything. Like it could be. We don't know even know if it has a gender. We don't know if it's a human. We don't know like if it's an alien, what amalgamation it is. We don't even know if it has a physical form. Like we don't know anything about this entity. All we know is that it's extremely powerful and that it plays favorites. It might be a
Yeah.
teacher.
Might be a teacher,
I don't know. Teachers aren't really powerful.
but they do play favorites.
They do play favorites.
I mean, look at
I can't
Dracula.
concur.
Dracula gets to haul his fucking his castle around every stage.
Okay, that's Dracula. That's like the whole
That's
thing of like
favoritism.
Castlevania.
But that's the thing. The entity's stronger.
I,
The
th-
entity
I
doesn't
think
give a
that
fuck.
I think
He's
that's
neutralized
more
stronger. He's
because that's like
neutralized
the
stronger
whole
things.
that's like the whole gimmick in Castlevania is like Dracula's castle constantly pops back up every rotation. So I mean that's pretty on brand, honestly.
Yeah, but the entity has nullified stronger things. Like the entity had to
Okay,
allow that.
but
He was definitely, or it was
I
definitely
don't.
like a case of
Does his
I'll let you bring your
castle
castle with.
does his castle do anything for him in terms of gameplay?
No, it's just there.
Okay, then I don't really think it matters.
Well,
No, it's just a cool thing that the entity allows. It's just like a example of favoritism that the entity allows, because the entity could easily say some bullshit, be like, no, you're not bringing that into my stage. Like, I'm not allowing you. I don't care what your powers allow. I'll null that. Like, I've nullified stronger threats than you. I nullified Vecna from Dungeons and Dragons. Like, you're not anything to me.
I got a
So
question.
it's
go
like
ahead.
What does
it's just
that
kind of
have
a cool
exactly?
example of showing of the entity showing like it has its favorites compared
Yep.
to some of them. Like
I think
there's some killers that it just really does not like.
I, and yeah, I'm not going to argue with that one because I'm not really a DBD fan. I recognize DBD and what its community is. Just DBD's never really captured me. But yeah, I think favoritism you have to keep in mind too is, um, does it affect, like, does it give the person an advantage
Well, the way I was kind
in
of
like in that variety of the game, unless it gives them an advantage?
Well, the way I was kind of interpreting it, because I think that's what's so interesting and fascinating when you think about all of the killers and how the entity interacts with them, is like for the case of Dracula in this castle, like sure it doesn't do anything in game, but it could be a case of like the entity being like, you know what, I think this killer is gonna be a little more productive if his castle is just there. So you know what, I'll let him
Sure.
have it. Like I feel like you can
Oh
have an
yeah, sure.
interpretation like that because it's so like vague and it's just kind of there and it doesn't give you clues, so it leaves
Right.
you a lot of room to theorize and play with. And I think that also adds to the fun of the lore in the entity.
Yeah.
Because I
I
think what
think
is
it's
it,
also
I
Pyramid?
nice
mean,
because it's very iconic for Dracula.
100%. And then I think what is it, Pyramid Head like has the ability to like hurt the entity a little with the way it like
yeah,
drags its
he
things.
like stabs. It's theorized. I don't think it's ever been confirmed in the lore, but it is very theorized. Very heavily theorized. Jesus, theorized. Jesus Christ,
Theorized?
I cannot speak.
It's okay.
English is not my English is not tongue language, but it is been said that he is the only one that like hurts the entity by stabbing the ground. Because when he stabs the ground, you can like see bits of the inside. Like it doesn't look like you're just stabbing the ground. It looks like you're stabbing into, like you're ripping a tear through reality or something.
Oh yeah,
It
which is
looks
That
like
kind of
you're
cool.
reminds
stabbing
me.
into something and it opens like a piece of paper. It's like you're opening a portal to something else.
That kind of reminds me of my next pick. I'm not going to get into it till you boys are done, but that I can tie that into my next pick.
I mean, other than that, I think DVD does a really good way most of the time of connecting their characters to of why they are at where they're at
Sure.
and why they they do a good explanation of explaining what the entity can do, like entity can do, but also keeping it very vague. It's hard to explain. They like give us specifics of what it can do and what it's capable of without telling us exactly everything that it can do, but still keeping it vague.
Until it encounters the licensing expiring.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the
until they need money.
biggest. That's the biggest like thing that's like affected DBD is the licensing.
Well, you got to think about it though, because like I don't play DVD, but like the names that I've seen and the names that you boys listed is like those have got to be expensive.
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no, Mike Myers isn't even in the game anymore. I just remember that.
Mike, you said
they
Mike
took him
Myers,
out.
Jason
Yeah,
Voorhees.
Mike Myers got removed with the when they added Stranger Things, the second one.
That's
I mean, yeah, like
crazy.
these are like the most iconic horror icons ever. Like Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Dracula from Castlevania, Vecna, Tokyo Ghoul. Like, I mean, these cannot be
They have
cheap to
Pinhead. You know,
maintain.
they have fucking Pinhead, or no, they don't have Pinhead anymore. But they have
Yeah,
Chucky, Freddy,
Nemesis.
Nemesis.
Nemesis, and Wesker.
It's like,
Yeah,
Not to
they have a
mention
bunch
these
of
are
them.
survivor
not.
They have the
characters.
fucking. They have this Sudoku or whatever. What the fuck is that bitch's name? The
The
chick that crawls out of the TV.
yeah, like the Unreal.
Oh, Sadako
Yeah, yeah. I knew it started with an S. I called her Sudoku, but I know it's
or
a Korean.
Samara is her other name.
Fucking Sudoku's coming out the TV. It was terrifying.
Fucking Sudoku's coming out of the TV, man. There's something wrong here.
I can't read, let alone do numbers, and they're just flashing it
I
at
am
me.
only. We are only ever referring to her as Sudoku now.
Fucking Sudoku. Oh, but that was a great pick, man. DVD, that's a great pick because the entity and everything is so fascinating. I do think it's a great pick. Uh, well, if we're moving forward, I'm gonna make mine
I got the
one of my
computer.
one of two because I had a couple come to mind, and I'm gonna keep this one
Sure.
along the lines of I'll do this one first, and I'll save my super nerdy one for last. And I'm gonna go with Game of Thrones,
Okay.
the Game of Thrones
Oh, okay. Mixed it up. I
universe.
like it. I like it.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, Shan, you're obviously you probably know more about the lore than I do because you've had more time to read the books and everything, and I'm still like not even
Yeah,
halfway through the first.
I haven't read. I have all the books, but I haven't read them all. I've only made it about halfway through Storm of Swords, which is the third one. And I've read all of Fire and Blood.
Nice.
I would like to read the. I have the Knights of the Seven Kingdom book, and then I also have those big, hardcover like glossary index encyclopedias, whatever you want to call them. One's like the World of Ice and Fire, and the other one's what is the other one called? It's like it's specifically for the House of Dragon and like Targaryen dynasty.
Dude, that's so
It's
cool.
called the Rise of the Dragon.
Yeah, you see, that's dope. And I feel like, just the fact that they have so many books about the books, that alone speaks volumes about the depth and the history specifically, because, because you can have rich lore and depth, but when you have so much history and then each character from certain segments have so much depth to them, it's like, man, this is crazy. You can get lost in this. And it's one of those things
Yeah,
that's fun
because
to get lost in.
the first book was published in 1996, so the series turns 30 years old this year.
Yeah, and that's not even like the old some of the oldest ones. Like there's ones that go back even further, but Game of Thrones just has a way of like capturing everybody from that universe. It's so cool.
Well, it, I think, and everybody's gonna look at the Game of Thrones TV show because the book series is called A Song of Ice and Fire, and
Yeah.
the first book is called Game of Thrones. But I think Game of Thrones is catchier, obviously
Mm-hmm.
for TV. Um, I definitely think there's a lot of lore there. Definitely more expansive in the books, as is A Tale as Old as Time with any other series.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple people on YouTube that I used to watch that would do a lot of lore breakdown.
And I'm gonna
And
be
I've
honest with you.
read
I am also
a
guilty
lot.
of doing that.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I go and I get, excuse me, I get on the internet and I usually get in my phases. Like I did it with Destiny. Destiny was probably the worst one. I've done it with the Game of Thrones. I've done it with a couple of other series, including my next pick. Um, I did it with Resident Evil. It usually starts with like a timeline, and then I
Mm-hmm.
usually start digging into their channels more and more and finding lore videos. I think a Game of Thrones has some of the coolest lore, specifically like Valeria.
Oh yeah, because
Again,
there's
it's
mystery to it.
it's another one of those, exactly, it's another one of those mystery things. It's like what happened, like we kind of know what happened to Valeria, but like there's not a lot of details left. Like they were sheep farmers, I believe, or herders. They were shepherds, and they found the dragon eggs inside of the fires. I can't 7 fires. It's whatever the volcano chain is called around Valeria. Um, and when they hatched the eggs, they became the predominant force in the world. They took over the freeholds, the slave states, um, and became like the greatest civilization ever. But the hubris of it all was they channeled too much magic and they upset the natural balance of nature, and the volcanoes erupted and destroyed all of Valeria, and that's where the doom of Valeria comes from. And it's very ironic because obviously it was their own ego that destroyed them, and you know the whole thing about Daenerys and like the Targaryens, which are like the second one of two families that escaped Valeria. The whole thing with Daenerys is like she can't burn, right? Or her dragons can't burn. But I mean, those volcanoes were hot enough to kill those dragons. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole idea of like Daenerys the Dreamer, she had her vision, and like her father moved them to Dragonstone in Westeros, and that's how they escaped. They took a few dragons with them, including Vagar and Balerion,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we get Aegon. I think Aegon comes around like maybe 2 or 3 generations later and conquers Westeros. But it's like the lore and just like the mystery. Like I know I put a lot of details out there, but it's like Game of Thrones doesn't do a lot of magic explanation. It's
No, it
like
doesn't.
magic is basically dead in that universe. Um, Aside from a few things like obviously the White Walkers and like the dragons,
Yeah, like the Red
but
Lady.
yeah. Like that's another thing. The Lord of Light, we didn't get a lot of explanation on him. There's a bit more in the books, obviously, but there's not a lot of explanation in the TV show.
No, because like I think another thing that it does really well is like it has its history, but it also has its mythology. And while sometimes
Yep.
they like intertwine, there's a lot of times where it doesn't. So it's like, oh, it's just a tall tale. Like you can like narrow it down to, oh, that's just an exaggeration. And I think like a great example of that, and this might be a spoiler for people who are watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but Arion's fate, uh, like
Oh yeah.
his belief, what caused him to do what he does, and the fact that it doesn't work, it's just like, yep, that was a tall tale, dude. You I don't know what you were sipping on, but yeah, not
That's
happening.
another thing I would have liked to have seen is more explanation on the Valerian gods, because
Mm-hmm.
like Balerion, who's considered to be like the greatest dragon of all time that we know of at least, because
Mm-hmm.
like Balerion was considered like there's been sources out there that say Balerion's considered small,
Yeah, which is insane when you
which is
think about the size
fucking
of him.
crazy. Well, it's like and he's the it's a toss up because we never actually see Balerion or his size never is never confirmed. But like Vagar is fucking huge too in House of the Dragon.
Yeah, he's a big
But
boy.
we never see the comparison between the two because by the time Vagar's full size, Balerion's dead.
Yeah.
Um, so and plus we've never seen Balerion technically on screen aside from his skeleton. Which, by the way, thank you to House of Dragon for correcting the size of the skull in Game of Thrones. It was way too fucking small. Um, but like Balerion's named after one of the Valerian gods. I would love to see more lore on that. That's just a nice little fun fact and like intrigues me. And I'm like, I want to know more about their culture, their mythology, and whatnot because like they feel like very Rome, in a sense. Like they feel like the Roman Empire of that world.
Oh, 100%. And there's another dragon I wish we could see more of is Cannibal, because we never really get a
Oh
size
yeah, yeah,
description
yeah,
of
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But it's like one of
I
those
think he's
very
gonna show up
interesting
later.
ones. It's one of those very
I think
interesting cases.
I'm trying to remember the time frame, but I think he shows up later in the Dance of the Dragons, which is the civil war that goes on in House of the Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I remember correctly, I think they recruit some of the Targaryen bastards because they're low on forces. And then
Yeah.
they try to tame the cannibal.
Yeah. See, and I know that in the show for season 2, and I don't feel like that's too much of a spoiler. I'll say spoiler alert just in case. But season 3 is literally about to come out this upcoming summer.
Yeah.
But in season 2, I think they covered that, or at least a little bit, because I think they have like 2 or 3 bastards who end up joining them.
Mhm.
And like and each of them gets a dragon, and
Yep.
this whole time I'm like, but where's Cannibal? I need to see him, man. because
Yeah, the problem
he's
is just so feral.
because he's described as having like green eyes, and I think,
He's pretty big.
and I was like, man, this is gonna sound crazy and not true at all, I'm sure. But how wild would it be if, like, when he breathes fire, it's green like wildfire?
You know, I don't know because we've never seen like anything with that for the dragons, right?
Mm-hmm.
We it's possible because like he was raised outside of captivity, or yeah, outside of captivity. I mean, anything's theoretically possible because there's not like exactly a like a I don't know, a veterinarian or something, or a biologist that studies dragons in Game of Thrones that has like every detail wrote down about like the life of a dragon and has studied all the dragons. So I mean, anything's really necessarily possible. Um, we just don't know. I don't think they ever describe his fire being a different color in the books. But to be fair, I read the books were a while ago, and I don't remember all the details, but I don't remember his fire ever being a different color in the book. But that's
And
not to say that they can't change it, because I mean, in Game of Thrones, they changed a lot of stuff. So
like, it doesn't have to happen, but it would be one of those things where I'm like, yo, that's fucking metal. That's
it'd be kind of
metal.
neat. I would hope
Oh,
they would at least explain it though, and not just kind of go, "Yeah, his fire is green."
yeah, no, I would hope that
At
there's
least some kind
like,
of an explanation.
I would need something like, oh, like the reason why like wildfire is able to be produced at such a high level is, oh, they extracted something after cannibal died, and now they're
Right.
able to, like, that would be interesting. Not needed, but I would just be like, oh, that's kind of cool, because I know they mention his green eyes, and I'm like, that just would be a cool feature for me. I'm like, not that like it
I
wouldn't
mean,
ruin anything, but it would be super cool to
like
see.
I said, like I said, it could be different because like he wasn't raised in captivity, and I mean, it could be like a diet thing or a genetic thing because even with a dance or the Targaryen dynasty, the amount of dragons that they have is kind of small compared to like what Valeria was, because like not everybody had a dragon in Valeria. Only the dragon lord families did. Um,
Mm-hmm.
fun fact: Targaryens were actually really low on the totem pole in the Valerian society. Um,
Yeah, I think I
but
remember hearing that.
yeah, they were not very high up on the totem pole. But we, like I said, we don't know everything about the dragons. There could be multicolored fire dragons out there. I mean, like look at Vagar, or no, Viserion. When he becomes a lich dragon or undead dragon or whatever, his fire turns blue.
That was also pretty cool. that was
So I
that
mean,
was like the
it's
only cool
possible.
thing. Blue fire, yeah, that was pretty cool.
And we don't have to get into it. I could spend a lot of time on how stupid the last season of Game of Thrones was.
Oh, it
But
was dumb.
one of the one of the best things that the last two seasons did was like the music and the cinematography.
I agree. I agree.
But the story and the characters were awful. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, but I feel like a commonality with all, like, to kind of draw a conclusion to me bringing up Game of Thrones and kind of bringing everything together, at least for this first round of discussions, is mystery. Like, I feel like in order for have people to kind of chew on it and kind of think about things, you can't explain everything, because I feel like every one we've brought up has had some sort of mystery to it, be it the entity, or be it a lot of the magic in Game of Thrones, or the some of the races in Destiny, or the, like, the Witness, the Traveler. Like, you got to have some mystery to it in order to really entice people.
Well, and the problem is like, and I think the reason why mystery is so fascinating is two reasons: the fear of the unknown, or the fascination with the unknown. Right. That's why, like, I brought up horror. A lot of great horror out there is because they don't play all their cards. They don't lay their entire cards down on the table. They let the reader, they let their brain, or the viewer, the reader, whatever, they let their brain pick and kind of put pieces together, and it's like, oh my god, what could this be? Oh my god, it could be like right there. It could be behind me, etc., etc. I think infinitely scarier images will pop up into your brain um, on your own behalf versus if somebody lays it down in front of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's the fascination of the unknown, and then the the other reason why mystery works so well is because if you give everybody all the pieces right away, or by the end of it you give them all the pieces, it's no longer like interesting, right? You have all the pieces, the story's complete, the puzzle's complete. Okay, I can walk away now, right? There's nothing left to be done. If Destiny or the entity, like they show what the entity looks like and they show its motives and all of its reasoning, it becomes less fascinating, right? Or if magic becomes normalized in Game of Thrones, it becomes less fascinating because it's like, okay, now we're desensitized to it. I
Yeah, less
think not
impactful.
giving them all the pieces, yeah, giving them or not giving people all the pieces allows them to theorize, allows them to create this fascination to the point where they go digging for it, like I did. I went digging for answers. It's the same reason why history is so fascinating these days. Why, like, it was so fascinating when we uncovered a lot of the pharaoh tombs in Egypt, right? Because it's like that mystery of discovery and like what came before or what was there, you know. Um, I think that those aspects define great lore, at least from a mystery standpoint, and that's one of the reasons why I become so obsessed with a lot of lore, like with Destiny. And then my next pick, for sure. All right. So my next pick, and it's one of my favorite games of all time, and it technically could be included in its sister series, um, but I think I've studied this one more than I have the other one, Elden Ring.
Elden
Elden Ring is my
Ring.
second pick.
What a great
Elden Ring
pick.
is my next pick. I think Elden Ring is the definition of a 10 out of 10 game, um, in almost every aspect I can think of, including lore. I fucking love the lore of Elden Ring.
It's so
I
fucking good.
want more. I want more DLC just so I can have more lore.
It's
Honestly.
more Elden Ring, really. Not
Yeah.
including
Well,
Nightwing.
and right. I think Elden Ring, and I've talked about it before. I brought it up a couple times, right, with the mystery aspect, and I'm hinting at my second pick all this time. You know, keeping them chomping at the teeth
Mm-hmm.
or at the bit. Elden Ring is, oh my god, and there's so many
Where do
posts
I
on.
even start?
Where to
There's so many
begin?
posts on Reddit. So many posts on Reddit that are like, Elden Ring ruined gaming for
Elden
me
Ring, my
because it's just
beloved.
so good. It's just so good because like it's like, you know, when you watch a really good show and you just feel hollow after that and everything pales in comparison now. um but getting into it, right,
Mm-hmm.
two fucking goats of nerd pop culture, Hideo Miyazaki
What?
and George R. Martin, dude. Like, come on. Or Hideaki is Miyazaki, sorry. Um, I was thinking of Hideo Kojima. uh,
You can
uh,
see the world.
pretty much. Hidetaki Miyazaki. Sorry, I apologize. I was thinking, and then there's also the Miyazaki that does like Spirited Away and all the Studio Ghibli movies. So that's just that throws me off. But how the fuck? Like, the only way it could have gotten better is if you got like fucking, if he was still alive, J.R.R. Tolkien. Like, dude.
Yeah, like the one of
So
the
like,
one of the progenitors of the fantasy genre.
yeah, it's like how do you get better than like those fucking goats? But to dive into like some of my favorite things on the lore, I know Hudson, you mentioned like when Pyramid Head stabs the ground and we can kind of see into the entity, and I hinted at another thing, Moog. So Moog, when he
Mm-hmm.
stabs his trident into the air or like
Oh,
casts like his blood seals, the lore is he's stabbing into the Blood Mother, um, and the blood that he throws at you, and like uses is the mother of blood. Like, that's her blood. That's why it's so fucking nox or nosh not what's the word? Noxic?
potent. Potent.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll go with potent. That's why it's so
yeah.
potent. Like there's so much perfect lore in this game between like the fantasy genre, the era of mystery, the eldritch like Lovecraft nature of like the greater will and all the outer gods and like what is an outer god and what isn't an outer god. Like you've got like the blood mother, you've got the greater will, you've got the frenzied flame, right? There's even like hints, like there's so many pathways that like we don't know which one's which, we don't know what's true and what's not, right? Because like if you talk to oh my god, what's her name, the lady you do the frenzied flame um quest
Mm.
line for, and you give her the grapes but they're the eyeballs, what is
Yeah,
her
and
name?
I don't remember her name. Something with it. Is it
Oh,
something with an M?
I don't remember her name, but like when you talk to her, she gives you an origin story for the universe, right? And she talks about how the Greater Will and the Frenzied Flame were like one entity at one point, and they split apart. And like the Greater Will wants to build the universe, while the Frenzied Flame wants to burn everything. It's like that could be one like explanation for the universe, or it could be just like all these outer gods are just like a pantheon, kind of like Greek, like the Greek pantheon, and they just kind of like clash with each other all the time. And they're fighting for dominance or fighting for pieces of each of the universe, um, or uh like how there are lands beyond like the fog, like you know how like the game starts and you venture to the lands between and everybody's like, oh, you've come from beyond the fog. And like they talk about like the land of reeds and like other places like the samurai class, if you play as him or her, they talk about how like you come from the land of reeds, which is probably hinted at as like Japan based, but also like there's a theory that like the land of reeds is the same place where Sekiro takes place. um there's also like a theory that whatever ending you choose could lead to a different Dark Souls game. Like I've read that the Frenzied Flame ending is like Dark Souls
Dark
1
Souls 3. Yeah, one
or
through
Dark
three.
Souls 3 or whatever it is, right? Um, or like if you let, I don't remember all of it, but like each one, I think it's been confirmed false, but it's still like again that mystery aspect. It's like people theorize, and then these theories gain traction, and then it's like while they technically have been confirmed false, it's like
It's still
it's
cool to believe.
really like solid evidence, and it's like you know they at least had to think about it when they made like the game. They're like, oh my god, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, did we screw up?
dude, there's just like so, and there's like Estelle, he comes from the void, and it's like, okay, what's the void? Is it an outer god? Is it a different entity, a different world, a different dimension? Like they don't ever explain too much about Estelle except for like he's a fallen star. He's like the beast that eats the stars, and it's like, what the hell does that even mean? It's like, dude, that's so cool. Uh, I mean, like the formless mother. That's what I was trying to think of for the blood mother.
Yeah, I knew what he
Um,
meant.
like they're the outer gods that are constantly vying for control. Like the greater will is obviously like it feels like the dominant will or the dominant god because it like technically controls the lands between, and it's very interesting because it's like what is the significance of the lands between that makes it so special, right? Because like I mean you look around, anything that's special about the lands between is what the greater will has put into the lands between, right? Like the Erdtree was created by the greater will when it sent the Elden Beast and the Elden Ring to the lands between. It's like, what is so special about the lands between that all these gods are fighting over it? Like the frenzied flame. I mean, the frenzied flame feels kind of obvious because it's like the whole idea behind him. Oh, Hayeta is her name. That's who I was trying to think of for the
There was
quest
not
line.
an M.
Uh, it's like the frenzied flame's kind of obvious because all it wants to do is burn shit. But it's like the goddess of the moon or the god of the moon that you like like that Ronnie's side quest.
Mm-hmm.
It's like technically that one takes over if you go with her or something. It's like what is so special about the lands between that like all these people are fighting over? or like why does the Elden Ring choose like certain Elden Lords like Placidusax was the Elden Lord before Marika's era, and it's like who was his god? Because the whole idea, oh my god, the whole idea of like the Elden Ring choosing a person to bestow its blessing on and make them a god, and then the god has to choose a consort to like rule in their stead and be like their like hand. It's just so fucking cool, dude.
Oh, 100%. And it gives you those Lord of the Ring vibes where it's like, oh, the one ring to rule them all, and it has its own little like mental and like its own will.
Yeah,
It very much gives
the
off those vibes.
parallels.
Yeah.
Parallel, like there's some Lord of the Rings vibes. Obviously, there's going to be some inspiration with George R. R. Martin being in there for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Berserk is a huge inspiration for Miyazaki. It's always been in his games, from Dark Souls all the way to this game. There's just always so much referencing from Berserk in this game. The parallels for the lore that just makes it like just pays homage to it. And so I read that there's a lot of parallels with Irish mythology too, like the Erd tree.
Mm-hmm.
The Erd tree is I think Erd is actually Irish. I don't remember correctly, but I do also remember the Scadu tree, which is the Irish word or the Gaelic word for shadow. It's the shadow tree. Oh, I looked it up. It's the golden tree. So it's the Irish word for the golden tree, or the Shiafa River, which is like when you go underground, you fight with all the ants, and you go to the Nox civilization.
Mm-hmm.
That's an Irish word. There's a lot of Gaelic inspiration in Elden Ring. I just love like the inspirations and the parallels and like the tree. The whole idea of the tree is borrowed from like the Irish tree of life or whatever it is. Yeah, the Irish tree of life. Um, I'm sure you boys have seen the symbol before. It's like it literally just looks like there's the Celtic tree of life. It's with like the Celtic knots and shit on it. That's what the Erd tree's inspiration was. And if you look at it and then you compare it to a lot of like the medallions you get in the game or like icons of the Erd tree, it pales or like pairs. It's perfectly paired with all of that. And just the idea of like the tarnished. Oh my god, the themes in
Dude,
this game.
there's so many layers to it
I
too. It's so good because like even just the tarnished
so many
alone
layers.
and their connection with Godfrey and just it's so cool.
The whole idea of like you potentially being a soldier for a Godfrey is kind of wild too. There's a
Oh,
theory out there
absolutely.
that like because Godfrey is like the head of the Tarnished when he gets banished, um, that you fought with him in the Badlands. And it's like, what the fuck is the Badlands? It's
Yeah.
like the fact that you had to go digging for this is so interesting to me because like technically it's all in the game and I won't fault a game if all of your lore or like 90% of your lore is in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if I had to read icons, even if I had to read notes and everything, it's like that's the whole point. It's world building.
Mm-hmm.
I will fault the game if I have to go somewhere else for it, right?
Yeah.
If I have to leave the game and go somewhere, and that's I said it in Destiny 1, they had this stupid shit where like you could earn the grimoire cards in the game, but you would have to go to the website to read them and get the lore.
That's terrible.
That shit pisses me off. And like the lore was so good, but it's like I shouldn't have to leave the game to go get it, right?
Yeah, extra
Now
steps.
it's a little bit different if I have to go like if you give me most of it because like I don't expect the game to have 100% of its lore in the game, right? I could go to Barnes and Noble or Books a Million and pick up some like art books or some books about Elden Ring, right? And I'm sure I'd find more lore in there, but it's like there's not enough lore left out in the game that I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, where you're like, there's some pieces missing. Because honestly,
Yeah, and oh my god.
the only one that came to mind for Elden Ring was like remedied with the DLC, and that's Mikola.
Right. So, well, I'd also like to point out so that's where I was going with it too. I really like the fact that uh, they didn't give us all that lore in the game, and they kind of left it hinting to be like a sequel or a DLC or whatnot. And then
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of it being paired with a DLC because it kind of feels like when you're watching a TV show, right? And it's on a weekly basis, and it releases weekly, and it leaves you on a cliffhanger, or it doesn't explain everything. And then the next episode, or by the end of the season, you're like, "Oh my god, that makes so much sense."
Mm-hmm.
I love that because it lets me sit and stew.
I agree. It definitely felt that way too, especially when you get through the DLC and everything that happens. It's like, oh, because like the way to unlock it was like, oh, you have to beat X amount of bosses from the base game, and for anyone who like isn't lore updated or lore savvy, they're like, why those specific ones? And I feel
No
like that's
beat
a
the
good,
allegations. So like America, right?
yeah,
She's the whole game revolves around America, all of it. Like the Tarnish is technically the main character, but if you really look at it, you take a step back. The entire game is about America, right? So
mm-hmm,
she's the queen. She is the god of the lands between. She's the Greater Will's chosen right now. She shattered the Elden Ring. It's not technically confirmed, but it's pretty much confirmed because the Greater Will technically betrayed her or failed her because they killed Godwin. They were able to
mm-hmm.
kill Godwin, which was definitely her favorite child, easily her favorite child.
He was named the Golden.
Yeah, it's really wild too because like when you think about her kids, you think about like Mikola and Melania,
Yeah,
right, and Moog and oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? This is so embarrassing. It's the first boss you fight.
What? Oh, Margaret? Morgoth?
Thank you, Morgoth. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. I've got like 700 hours in this game.
it's been a minute. It's okay.
um, like obviously Godwin's the favorite.
Yeah.
He was the favorite among the people. He was like the only one of her kids that wasn't cursed. Um, yeah, that was he's easily the favorite, right? And then like when her favorite kid gets killed in a place where death doesn't fucking exist, dude, and your favorite kid of all people that dies, like obviously I would lose faith. Like I mean, people when their kids die, they lose faith in God. Like I mean, not every time, but people will lose faith in God if their kid gets taken from them, right? It's like why would
Of
you let this
course.
happen if you're an all powerful, all benevolent God, right? And like America is like her, like they're supposed to be the Greater Will's favorite. It's like that's the representation here. It's like of all people, you would let that happen to her. Right? So she shatters the Elden Ring, and the Greater Will punishes her for shattering the Elden Ring. Right,
Mm-hmm.
and then the whole story is like theoretically is you being guided by the grace, which is basically America's will. Like when you visit the sites of grace, and it like takes you to wherever, points in the right direction, or like so many things are easily like you look and you're like, oh my god, America planned this all from the beginning to have like all the people fight over each other, and then have like the tarn like she's the one who called the tarnished back to like put the Elden Ring back together, and then like defeat the Greater Will and send the Elden Beast packing and whatnot. But it's like you look at her actions and you go, is she justified? Right?
Yeah.
Is what she did justified between like kicking her kids to the curb, the genocide of all the civilizations before she became like the main goddess. What else am I missing? What other atrocious things did America do?
Well, I know this. I know that because America, she's a lot of things. Like she's plenty of things, good, bad. But she's also at the end of the day, like even while she's a goddess, she's a mom. And a
Mm-hmm.
mom's love for their kids, like not to say that dads don't care, they don't care as much, nothing like that. But like when you're carrying them in the womb and you're like that bond is strong. And like you said, he
Mm-hmm.
was obviously the favorite. And so when your favorite out of everyone gets put in a state that he's put in when he's supposed to be like untouchable, she
Well,
lost a part of herself. And
and the crazy thing is too, in that world, sorry not to interrupt you, in that
yeah, you're
world,
good.
death does not exist. Like
Yeah.
death does not exist.
And it's like, and somehow
America took
there
that
was
shit
still a
out.
way. And there was still a way where that happened. And it's like she even went to the extent of hit it with Malekith, who's my favorite character.
Dude, Malekith is so
Shouts
fucking
out
cool. It's
Malekith,
like,
man.
Malekith's the
it's like
fucking goat.
Malekith is supposed to be the only one. He's literally the fucking Grim Reaper. He's like everybody is scared of him because he's
Yeah,
the
even the
only one that
gods.
can actually kill anybody. And it's like, first of all, ballsy of Danny and Rykard to plan to steal a piece of destined death from him, right? Fucking ballsy. And then one of my favorite pieces of lore in there is like their backup plan in case they got caught was to have a Rykard fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
square up 1-on-1 with Malekith.
And this is before he got eaten by the snake, by the way.
Yeah, this is prime Rykard right here.
Prime Rykard. That's someone who doesn't get enough like attention.
Yeah, we don't talk. No one talks about how crazy Rykard could have been. We don't know how crazy
Dude,
Rykard could have been before
no,
he got eaten by the snake.
So he was the Grand Inquisitor. So he was the dude that was in charge of basically chasing after anybody who claimed that America was like the false god, and like didn't like stand by the greater will and whatnot, and chased after all those people.
You are
Oh my
not
god,
you are not worthy of your nuts, Rykard.
right?
Strip
How
him.
did I forget? So like
Rykard,
and in
devour
this world,
them.
pretty much. He was basically their attack dog when
Eats their balls,
Malekith was
Rykard.
like
Devour their nuts.
Malekith was like the big, like bad, right? Like he was like the big guns that they sent in when shit got crazy. But like Rykard was like the main guy they would send to interrogate them or to like shut down rebellions. It was him, Mesmer, and Malekith were like the main, and Godfrey when he was still around were like their main enforcers. And like Rykard was specifically like the interrogator, right? He wouldn't just straight up kill them. And that's what led him to Mount Gelmir because he or not Mount Gelmir, the Volcano Manor. Sorry, the Volcano Manor, because he found he like interrogated them and found like some of the ancient magics up there because he was always like the inquisitive mind, and that's what led him to find the snake. And eventually, when he was granted a piece of the the Elden Ring and got a great rune, that's when he started to go and slip into madness. And he's like, well, if I'm going to take down all the other gods, I'm going to need more power, and fed himself to the snake. And because of his great rune, the snake wasn't able to conquer him. But I really like the parallel in Elden Ring of the snake, right? So like you've got Rykard, who's the blasphemous, right?
Well, wasn't there like a deal made? Rykard was like, "You take my Elden Ring or my shard of the Elden Ring, and we merge or some shit, become stronger."
Never heard that. I'll have to dig into that. I've never heard of that. I only know that he fed himself to the snake because
I thought there was
he
something
needed
with the
more
Elden Ring.
power.
Maybe it
My-
was
I lost
Rykard
Rusty.
because of his part of the Elden Ring. He didn't die. He fused with it.
Well,
or
that's
something
that.
like that.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I because of his piece of the Elden Ring, they merged. He wasn't conquered, but he wasn't eaten by the snake fully and like devoured. They became technically one, and then like Rykard technically became the main brain. But the parallels is really cool too because like Rykard's got the snake, and he's considered the blasphemous, and then you've got Mesmer too, because he was born with a snake. He was like snakes are considered blasphemous, and I think it's because of Rykard that they sent Mesmer and banished him to the Shadowlands, right? But to touch base on my point too earlier with Marika, is she justified, right? Keep in mind all these acts that she did, right? And then you get to the DLC. You play the DLC, right? First of all, you have to beat Radahn and you have to beat Mohg, and everybody in the beginning's like, why the fuck are we? Why those two? Like Mohg made sense, right? Because that's where Miquella's body was, and Miquella was part of the advertisement in the DLC. But then everybody's like, why Radahn? You get to the DLC, and if you explore the Shadowlands, which, by the way, is really interesting too, because if you line up the Shadowlands map with that big missing chunk in between the snowlands and Liurnia and Landell.
Mm-hmm.
You get like it fits perfectly,
It does. I've seen that before
which
too.
is fucking crazy. So it's like basically like did America rip up an entire piece of the land and banish it to a different dimension?
Yeah, he's like, what the
Like what?
fuck?
Like who else is that powerful? Like it had to have been America or like one of the outer gods. Like there's nobody else that could have done that, right?
No, no shot.
But you get to that world and you start exploring. And you get like to the shaman village and you explore like the jars and shit and the horn scent and you learn America's past and you like, oh my
Wait a minute.
god. Like it flips everything on its head. It's like I don't know if America was necessarily justified, that might be the wrong word, but it's like you can understand her motivations now. Like it makes sense. It isn't just random, like it's like she's a fucking sociopath. Like it makes sense now. Like these are trauma responses,
Oh,
right?
100%.
Like
Also,
she
I thought of
good.
someone who
Go.
might have been able to rip off that chunk.
Oh, yeah.
Radon. If he's able to
Possible. I
hold the
don't know.
stars, what is
I
a
don't know if
chunk
he
of a
has the
map?
motivation though.
That's valid. That's valid. 'Cause I couldn't tell you what a motivation of it could be. But if we're talking about like, I think if anything, that more so further puts it in America's realm.
Sure.
Because if Radon
I
can do
think
it being a demigod, why couldn't America?
I definitely think Radon
Yeah.
could do it with his gravity magic. I don't know if he can necessarily banish it to a different dimension, but he could definitely move it for sure. But like we established, I don't know if he necessarily has the motivation to do it is the question, right?
Right.
Um, but like you get to this dimension and you explore it and you're like, holy shit, and it starts to make sense because it's like the horn scent are like the omens
Mm-hmm.
and like the omens basically took all America's people and like fucking put them in a food processor and then stuffed them in a jar and they're like some umbrella fucking shit from Resident Evil and stuffed them into like a living jar.
Yeah, it's like if
Like
a
that shit was
McDonald's
fucking terrifying.
it's like if a McDonald's chicken nugget gained sentience and attacked you in a jar.
Well, there's like a fucking factory of them too, like a fantasy factory. But it's like there's a factory of them being made, and it's like they shoot their fucking organs at you, like they're
Mm-hmm. That's
fucking like
nasty.
nemesis. It's disgusting, and it's like I mean, imagine just like your love watching your loved ones get taken from you and and congealed and stuffed in a jar and just in constant pain, right?
Yeah.
It's like these people like fucking Attack on Titan. It's a
This
cycle
is
of
some
violence.
like what's that one anime called? Project. Oh fuck. The one that like
It's
got banned because of how bloody it was. I don't remember
oh
what it's
yeah,
called.
I don't. But it's
I
like,
don't
what
remember.
was America justified in doing all these actions? Because it's like those people attacked them first. Like the shamans didn't do anything first, and then these Hornsent, who basically thought they were better than everybody because they were chosen by a god, basically did whatever the fuck they want and took these people and stuffed them in a jar. And then when you're fucking second and third born kids come out looking like those people, and you're like, holy shit, oh my god, no, like get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
No, put it back.
Or like there's so much shit that like just completely takes America and it's like flips her character on its head. And it's just so crazy that they did that 2 years after release and everything starts to make sense. Moving off of America, like Moog, we mentioned Moog. Moog was looked at as basically a fucking sexual predator by
Mm-hmm.
taking Nicola and basically wanting to sleep with him
Wanted to be his consort, man.
and it's like and then he's like it turns out that he was placed under a spell or poor Melania was fucking used to nuke Radon. Like Nicola
Mm-hmm.
used Melania.
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
and that makes you question like everything that Mikola ever did because you go to the Halley tree and everybody like in the entire game everybody talks about how good of a person Mikola is and whatnot, but it's like you
And
look at him
Mikola
you
the
go
gun and shit.
and you go, did he do that because he was nice or did he do that because he was trying to use people?
Yeah, no, it makes you wonder, and it makes you have to like think about it. Like, what were his like? Are they saying this because they're under the spell, or is he just genuinely a cool dude? And you don't know. You can't
Yeah,
really know that.
like the entire DLC just flips the entire like a lore rich world already that like doesn't even give all the pieces from the very beginning, and like everybody's like the word Sonder, you know, when you realize that everybody has like they're going through their own struggles and has their own life and everything. You look at all these characters in this world and you're like, holy shit, this is like Sonder embodied. Like everybody is like alive, everybody has something going on, everybody's fighting their
Everyone
own
you talk to
battles.
has a different issue.
Well,
Yeah,
it's like, and
even
the
where
crazy
even the
thing is too,
demigods have some human traits to it.
and the last little bit I want to touch base on is just the fact that like even when his brain is rotting and he's basically dying, his soldiers are still using fire to keep back the rot to spread to like Liurnia and Limgrave and shit. Like that he's just him, dude. But like to wrap it up, and I'm sorry I took so much time because like this game is just so fucking good and so
So good.
huge, and I think like it's nice because all of us can contribute to this one. But I spent so much time studying this lore and I love this fucking world. Like it embodies every aspect of lore that I enjoy. The higher powers, the well developed characters with like the small little like filler like characteristic arcs. Um, this world proper world building with like fallen civilizations that have come and passed. Eh, there's just so much to learn, and like every like you said, there's just layers. Like you find one civilization and then you find out another one, and they all just tie together so nicely. And not to mention the inspiration that they take from other worlds without like just slapping in there and obviously being a copy. It's like they're paying homage to like all of these things. It's just Elden Ring is the perfect embodiment of what I like about lore to a T, with like the mystery and the world building and the inspirations and just constantly expanding on it, and I just can't ever stop talking about it.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Ooh, interesting.
God damn it, I knew that's where you were going.
It's not a bad choice. You say, go ahead, tell me more.
Has Five Nights at Freddy's is I don't know, it's such an interesting way, and like keeping updated with it is such a challenging task, but it's such a fun task being able to describe it all because it's such a crazy and bizarre thing that you never even really expect it.
No, and they've had a handful of years to really build their lore too. Like 'cause I remember being like a little like oh man, what was I? Freshman in high school at least, and that started to pop off. Like I remember that.
Yeah,
I started watching during Markiplier's playthrough, and I have not kept up, but I got all the way to like sister location. It has a lot of fucking lore.
It does.
I
And
know
they got
most of it
movies
still,
now.
but the movies don't tie into anything. They have separate universes. The books, the games, and the movies are all kind of separate universes.
Okay.
The movies kind
I
of roughly or use both aspects from both.
think my biggest problem with it, and correct me if they fixed it or not, though, is the fact that I don't think they planned for it to have this much lore or story
Uh-uh.
when Scott originally made it. So there's quite a bit of retconning and inconsistency from what I understand. At least there was.
No, there's still definitely a lot of retconning. Um, but it's also a lot of lore implication. Scott didn't plan to have this go past like the third game.
That's what I heard,
So,
yeah.
you kind of just gotta improvise sometimes.
I mean, he doesn't even own it anymore, right? He sold it, right?
No, he helps with it still, but he sold it to Steel Wool,
Right.
I bet you got a good penny for that too.
who have done absolutely
It's
nothing but disrespect it.
Ah.
it's like the dude, guys, it's like Star Wars.
Oh, that's so funny.
The amount, like it's literally just like a parallel of Star Wars, like George R. R. Martin, or not George R. R. Martin, George Lucas. Jesus fucking Christ,
Fucking
George
George.
Luke. A lot of Georges. George Lucas put out like Star Wars and didn't have like a huge overarching idea of what he wanted to do past the first three movies, and then like it got popular and he just kind of like went with it. And now there's just like so many like books and retconning, like the entire Legends universe is like retconned, and like
Yeah,
he sold
dude.
it to Disney for a pretty penny, and now all they do is disrespect it.
And that's
But
crazy.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Yeah, you know what? That's
Off
separate video. That's another time. We can
That's
talk about that.
political. That's
But
like a political
I
opinion.
thought it was just. I thought it was just so funny the parallels.
I'm going to do you boys a huge solid. I'm going to do you guys a crazy solid. I'm not going to elaborate. I'm just going to say the universe. Warhammer 40K.
Oh no, Warhammer. Yeah, there it is.
We started off with space. I'm ending it with space, but I'm not elaborating further because it's going to be another hour of me yapping about shit that's really metal.
Do you at least want to talk about like your favorite, like at least like your favorite example or like your favorite like reasoning or something?
Okay, I'll say this. It's the same reason that we kind of started this whole conversation in the first place is the depth. Because that's one with like 50 plus years of lore where like things happen, they change. I think it wasn't even like 10 years ago where like, oh, a Primarch's back. And now it's not even 5 years ago where, oh shit, another's back. So it's a universe that can constantly shift, constantly change, but still keep its roots.
And I haven't done a lot of digging into Warhammer because I like the idea. I just can't afford to have another expensive nerdy hobby. But I like the universe. The universe is really really cool, especially with like the grimdark nature. It feels like a mature version of Destiny almost.
Yeah, because when you
Released
were
with
just
some themes.
yeah, I was gonna say because when you were explaining like the hive minds and everything like that, I'm like, yeah, the Tyranids, like that's a hive mind. I'm like, so it's just there's a lot of parallels with
Exactly,
it.
right? Right. And I haven't done a lot of digging into the lore. Like I've studied like the Horus Heresy. I think that's like probably the most popular event, especially recently, that like people that don't dig, like, you know, shallow fans, like people that don't go below the surface too
Mm-hmm.
much, probably know like the Horus Heresy. Um, because it's like the whole thing that like flipped the universe upside down recently.
Yeah, it's
But
like it's
the
like
cool
Aegon
thing.
conquering
Right,
Westeros.
right. It's like, and the cool thing about like that I've noticed with Warhammer, especially with your ranting, is they don't ever like shut the door on a lot of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the world can continue to evolve and change, and like characters can come back and like twists can happen. I think that's really neat that they don't ever like go from point A to point B and like shut out all other possibilities. Obviously, that can get a little bit muddy
Mm-hmm.
with some things because it's like, okay, this character came back. How the fuck did he come back? Like, I watched him get like thrown through a wood chipper.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, sometimes it can get a little muddy, but like, what series can't, right?
Right. I would say my biggest critique of it right now, not that anything needs a critique, is like, yeah, we're getting a bunch of content from it, but it's like while the universe could keep pressing forward, it feels like they're really dragging their feet going forward. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean,
And that's my
how
biggest
long has
grief.
this series been around?
Fuck, dude, I couldn't tell you the year it dropped. I couldn't.
1987 is when Warhammer 40K dropped. Wasn't there like a 30K or something before that?
I don't know if there was. I think there was like Necromunda. I might have been just a Warhammer, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I saw a video on it not too long ago, but I'm not sure. But the factions probably I would say my favorite thing overall is the grimdark setting because I love a mature setting where bad shit happens to characters I like,
Sure.
and then the factions. There's so many, and all of them got their own history. It's great.
Yeah, those are our picks. What we got? Destiny and Elden Ring, Five Nights at Freddy's, Dead by Daylight, Game of Thrones, and Warhammer, and then some other ones we mentioned at the end there. You know, let us know if you guys have any other picks. There's definitely plenty out there for sure that we wouldn't touch base on or we just didn't get to because this is already a long enough episode. But either way, thank you all for joining us along this very wordy ride. I apologize for all the rambling. I tend to do that a lot.
Don't we all?
But I'd also like to thank you boys for joining me today in this lovely little episode of the MellaFellas.
Oh, of course. Wouldn't be anywhere else, man.
For sure.
You're
So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, boys, for being here and contributing. We will see you guys on the next episode.